He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This one's wife. Is her hold on Harry weakening? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The narcissist must assert control over whoever is on the narcissist's radar at a particular moment in time. If you are not on the radar, you simply do not exist. This is why there are times when you hear nothing from the narcissist, perhaps even when you thought that you might hear from the narcissist and you don't. You simply don't exist. But when you do exist, i.e., you have come up on the narcissist's radar, for instance, you've walked past their window, you have rung them up, you have been mentioned to the narcissist, or the narcissist just happens to think about you, the inherent need for control rises as part of the prime aims, and the narcissist must seek that control through one of the three assertions of control. The narcissist, having been forged in the furnace of a genetic predisposition towards narcissism, allied with a lack of control environment, is hypersensitive to threats to control. The narcissist's calibration in that regard is such that the narcissist perceives threats to control where many non-narcissists wouldn't see a problem in the slightest. This means that the narcissist not only perceives threats to control, but has been designed to nullify threats to control and to maintain control in a variety of different ways. Losing that control is problematic for the narcissist, and there are various ways whereby the narcissist's control can be threatened and weakened, but the narcissist needs to maintain that control over various appliances in the fuel matrix, particularly the most important one, which is the intimate partner primary source. Harry still has that status. He remains the intimate partner primary source of this one's wife, meaning that he was determined to be the individual that was the easiest to control, who also would provide excellent fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. If the issue of control starts to become problematic, if alongside that the fuel, the character traits, the residual benefits remain very valuable, the narcissist will deploy more effort to try and bring that individual back under control. If the narcissism perceives that the ultimate gain isn't really worth it, then disengagement may occur, or that the assertion of control occurs as a consequence of staying in a position of withdrawal or doing so indirectly. This one's wife has maintained a pretty tight grip over Harry over the years. They are together. She naturally hoovers him with the use of messages and telephone calls. We know the various different types of manipulation that she utilizes. For instance, when we see them together in public, a lot of physical assertions of control, the supposed affection, which of course is not only part of asserting control over him, but facade management, and the devaluing behaviours which will take place behind closed doors. Again, we are conversant with what those are as a consequence of understanding the fact that she is a narcissist. But could it be that the hold that she has over him is weakening somewhat? Harry has been flying solo as of late. He was in New York and then latterly has been in the United Kingdom. And an article by Hilary Rose portrays a different side to Harry, which then begs the question, is her hold on Harry weakening? Let's dive into the article and then see where this leaves the dynamic between this one's wife and Harry. Hilary Rose writes, "Well, Harry, it's been a long 5 years since Megxit. So much noise and petulance and fury from Monty Shitshow, so little of it reflecting well on anyone. But this week, out of the blue, we might have glimpsed the future, instead of raking up the past. Why? Because Harry undertook a solo, largely unheralded, blink-and-you-miss-it trip to London. For the first time in years, he went to an awards ceremony to present an award, not to receive one. For the first time in years, he arrived looking cheerful, not cross, gave a speech paying tribute to others, not himself, and brought joy to the people he met. In short, He did the royal job he was trained to do from birth, and he did it brilliantly. Look, I may be getting carried away here. This may be a false dawn. But it might be time to cautiously say, welcome back, Harry. We missed you. It was Harry's third solo trip to the United Kingdom in little more than 4 months. Encouragingly, it was not preceded by briefings about horrid relatives and the injustice of having to stay in a hotel instead of a palace, nor has it been followed, at least not yet, by an exclusive interview on American breakfast television and indiscreet tidbits about his family. Instead, Harry arrived in London without fanfare, checked into a hotel and spent a cold, wet Monday night at a nondescript hotel above a tube station on a traffic island. As patron of Wellchild for more than 15 years, he worked the crowd, are we having fun, and gave a touching speech about how the event never fails to inspire him. He spoke about how the seriously ill children being honoured live lives full of hospital stays and endless medical appointments, but light up every room with their warmth and positivity. He touched on the personal, but focused on the public. As a parent, he told the audience, I know a little about the emotional rollercoaster of parenting. He described himself as truly in awe of the parents and carers in the audience. Your love and dedication, he said, are nothing short of heroic. I hope tonight you feel a sense of joy. Thank you for your courage, optimism, and huge hearts. We are so grateful to you for sharing your stories, which encourage us to do more. He crouched down to present an award to 7-year-old Noah Nicholson, who has complex medical conditions, coaxed him into a smile, and soon enough the little boy was dancing with joy. Harry clowned around. He smiled, and now he's headed off, still solo, to South Africa to meet business leaders and philanthropists trying to improve the digital and economic prospects of young Africans. This is Harry, shorn of the preaching and whinging and bitterness of the past 5 years. It's the old Harry, not the one wanging on about how tough life is from a position of immense privilege, or how grave the climate crisis is from the back of a private jet. For the first time since Megxit, maybe even before, it was all about other people, not himself. There was none of the hoopla and nonsense we've come to expect at the Monty Shit Show Roadshow. No rubbish about car chases in rush hour New York or Netflix directors shouting action on a bucolic polo field in Santa Barbara. It was a reminder of what Harry used to do so well as a royal and arguably as the spare better than any of them. He could bring the informality that Prince William as the heir never truly can. It was a reminder of why, back in the day, they were such a terrific team. Harry came over without too much fuss in May for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games at St Paul's Cathedral in London, with no fuss at all in August for the Norfolk memorial service of his uncle, Lord Fellows. The war of words being conducted in the American press is between friends and foes of this one's wife, and Harry barely gets a look in, except as an amiable enabler whose best friend is on the payroll. He didn't turn up at the Royal Lancaster Hotel on Monday hoping to flog some jam on the side. The only thing Harry has to sell is himself, which is why Netflix is said to be disappointed by how little he features in his new documentary about polo. Soon enough, it will stop paying him to produce things he isn't in. And Duchess This One's Wife will be off doing all the things that Duchess This One's Wife does. And then, if everyone holds their nerve and their tongues, Harry might, at least some of the time, be able to live the life of service he says he always wanted, reconciled with the family he says he always loved. Those are the words of Hilary Rose reporting on Harry's appearance at the Wellchild Awards and what she sees as a return to form in respect of Harry. Now, the first thing, of course, to consider is this, in effect, a PR piece put forward on behalf of Harry in order to make him look good? Is there a move amongst the British press to see some kind of rehabilitation for him, and therefore they paint him in a favourable light? It would pay to have that as a consideration. Or might it just be that it is an accurate representation of the real Harry, that the Harry that most people knew about prior to the involvement of the narcissist? As I have made abundantly clear, and those of you who have been involved with narcissists know full well, the presence of the narcissist, Their manipulations and the abuse that you're subjected to has an impact upon your own behaviours. It causes you to become run down. The narcissist becomes often the sole focus of your life as you try to keep them on side, appease them, avoid being mistreated by the narcissist. You may well pour resources, money, time, effort, emotion towards the narcissist, neglecting friends, neglecting children, neglecting hobbies, neglecting work. There are many stories of those whose behaviour and personalities alter as a consequence of their ensnarement. And certainly, Harry is no different. Yes, in the past, he has had instances where his behaviour has been poor, and as I regularly explain, he does have strong narcissistic traits. But there has been a sea change in his behaviour since along came the spider, and the narcissist sunk her teeth into him. Is the fact that he spent some 7 or 8 days away from her mean that the toxic influence has receded somewhat? She will, of course, be hoovering him to maintain control over him, telephone calls and text messages, but there is no physical proximity. And the fact that Harry is able to go and do things without somebody grabbing his hand, pushing him in the small of the back, standing in front of him, relegating him to second place, snatching his bouquet from him, ensuring that she is seen by the cameras, moving him out of the way so he has to stand behind her. Things which he clearly has picked up on, we've seen his responses when this has happened, could well mean that not only is he enjoying having the limelight on him and in him alone, but also the fact that he doesn't feel like he has to walk on eggshells as much because his handler isn't there, always prodding him and nudging him and telling him off. Harry, of course, has spent his entire life being groomed for and engaged in service, and there are aspects of it that he does well, and you can see that his response shows the emotional empathy that he has for people. Away from the toxic influence of his wife, he starts to shine again. And is this what we are witnessing? Is it indeed the signs of the old Harry coming back? This is typical of what can happen to a victim once they have a period of separation from the narcissist. The impact of the narcissist starts to lessen. Do you think this is what is happening? Do you see that in Harry's behaviour it is because he's not as physically proximate to his wife and he's allowed to be more of his old self? Or do you simply think that this is part of a PR exercise to make him look good, irrespective of her influence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.